You worked 5 years with him, and you said at some point you quit because you thought he had sucked enough of your blood.
Oh, no. Well,
yes or no?
Did I say that? No,
Yeah.
no. Well, really. No, actually, I quit because he actually didn't want to make music anymore. And we had at least one more album to go on our contract with Virgin Records. And but he was just disinterested, I think, and also upset with the whole music business at that point. I mean, he had been producing brilliant albums for many years, and the returns economically, of course, were not great. I mean, even in this country where there are a lot of people who love his music and respect him, it still didn't provide him, I think, with enough base to feel that he was sustaining himself as a career. And at the same time, he was very much interested to get into the painting field. I mean, he always was a painter and an artist. I'm not saying he decided he was going to be an artist, but he really thought a lot about like how he would begin to exhibit his work. And I helped hook him up with some galleries and some people in New York, you know, who then saw to it that he had shows. And, you know, at that point I thought, well, I've done really, you know, everything I can do for this guy. I mean, I really, you know, love and respect him. But it was time for me personally to move on to other things, particularly because he did not intend to do music anymore. And I had joined the band primarily to be a musician in the band and to play his music. And when it got to be just working on his art and like helping him, you know, arrange for art shows and painting, I myself like lost interest in that. I mean, to me, the music is, you know, the most powerful and pure expression of his, you know, art. But he would disagree with me, I'm sure, if he was here, because in his own mind, painting and sculpture and, you know, the plastic arts went a lot farther along than music in terms of expressing emotions and stuff, you know. So,
okay, on to your own music. You just played a medley for us.
Yeah.
Can you tell something about that?
Sure. That opening piece, the medley, was began with some theme music I wrote for the German expressionist silent film, The Golem. I don't know if you're aware of that, but there have been several films about the Golem. The Golem, in the legend of Jewish history, it's kind of like the Jewish Frankenstein monster. A lot of people believe that in the 17th century there was a Rabbi Judah Loew, who lived in Prague, Czechoslovakia, and when the Jews in the ghetto there were threatened with pogroms and whatnot, he created out of clay a man who was a servant of the temple that he named Golem. And this being was like a monster who would protect the Jews when they were, you know, under attack. And then as the story goes on, the monster sort of gets a life of its own and has to be destroyed. And anyway, last year in New York City, I wrote with a synthesizer player music for the silent film that we played while the film was being shown.
Oh, that was an old film, though.
Yeah, from 1921. A magnificent German expressionist film in the style of Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Oh, really?
And yes, just beautiful sets. And I loved everything about this film. So the opening theme was, I guess you could call Go, Go, Golem. Right? That's what I call it. And it's particularly appropriate in light, I think, of what's happening now in Eastern Europe with the breakup of the Russian Empire, etc. And, you know, there's a lot of, like, fears in the area about what's going to happen next. So, you know, I think it's kind of timely. And from there, I kind of segued into an electric guitar piece, which I call The Brain from Planet Eros. And that's a bit of, I guess, program music. And from there, we did...
Why program music?
I think it's very descriptive of, I don't know, you know, I can't, like, say specifically what perhaps, like, it's suggestive of, but I think when I'm playing in the music that I write, I think pictorially. And
you do, actually. Oh,
yeah. I want to create atmospheres that will conjure up various landscapes, mentally and otherwise, for people.
Because I think people, when they hear your music, they do that themselves too.
Yeah, which I encourage. I mean, I've noticed in a lot of concerts I've done here, I played in Utrecht the other night, that the whole front of the audience I was playing for seemed to, like, have their eyes closed. They were, like, kind of like being taken away, you know, carried away by the music, which is what I want to do. I like, you know, to create spells kind of with the music that I'm playing and just, you know, create like some moments of magic, let's say.
So you see American landscapes when you play this?
Sometimes, but that piece maybe I see like the craters of the moon or outer space. I don't know. I mean, it's like it's definitely got a science fiction feel to it. Mm. And from there, I went back down to earth with a thing called Third World 2, TWO, which is a piece of music I just did for the producer composer Kip Hanrahan. I don't you know his stuff. Yeah. He's working on a new album in New York that's going to have poetry by Paul Haynes. He's the great Canadian poet who did the lyrics to Escalator Over the Hill. It was a Carla Bley's project many years ago. And a lot of different musicians are playing on this record, so he asked me to do a piece, and that's the music for the piece, Third World 2.
Then you went on to a more blues type of song, right?
Yeah, with a steel guitar there, right. Well, that's an old National steel guitar that I have from the 1920s, and I just fell in love with this particular instrument when, I went to this guitar store in New York. I was really very deep into the blues early 1980, and I just picked it up and said, well, I've got to have this, I can't be separated from this. It's really kind of an extension of me, And what I was doing was mainly the theme from Albert Ayler's Ghosts, which was a piece that I always liked when I was growing up. I remember from the Spiritual Unity album.
What is it? Is it a piece of music?
Yeah. Called Ghosts. And I throw in a bit of old other blues themes like during the piece, as if to bring out different ghosts. I want to sort of capture a spirit and bring the spirit back into music. To tell you the truth, I mean, I've been listening a lot to music just driving through Holland on this tour, and the pop music, I mean, in America, in Europe, all over, mainly, I think, is very limited right now, and I don't want to come off like an old 60s person either, but I think that there was definitely, more of a spirit in that period. I mean, when I was growing up, and everything was happening so fast in the 60s, in that decade, there was more of a unity among people, I think, that music served as, a way to bring people together. Mm. There was a common bond that people felt in music. Nowadays, I don't know if it's because rhythm has primacy over melody or what it is, but people mainly just use music as an adjunct to, going out to pick up girls or guys.